Bellator 277 weigh-in recap show, predictions, and the betting breakdown main event. Pitbull versus McKee 2. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video as well. And let's jump into this Bellator card. We are going to skip past the early prelims and start with this prelim fight between Crutchmer and Michael Lombardo. Welterweight matchup. Lombardo won against Corey Coupe. That was on the Dana White's Contender Series. Didn't get signed from there. Crutchmer's been doing pretty good work in Bellator. 2-fight winning streak, and the loss there was against Kerman Lachinov, who ended up fighting on The Ultimate Fighter this past season. As far as this matchup goes, I do like the Crutchmer side. I'm picking him out the gate. I think the wrestling's a problem. Lombardo is a guy that has a decent wrestling game, but I do think that guys with a more superior collegiate background, just higher level athletes, I think Crutchmer's wrestling is going to work against Lombardo here. And it's not like Lombardo is a devastating striker. He's more that high guard kickboxing style, decent punch flurries. He'll enter the range and look to exchange a bit. He likes to clinch up and wrestle sometimes too, though. And I think Crutchmer is going to outdo him in the wrestling division. Like, seriously, in wrestling, I think there is a good jump. Earlier on, Lombardo lost to a tough wrestler early in his career, David Mundell. Since, that time, he's had a good role. And, he's just got the one fight that was no contest there against Hugh Poley. Or actually, was it a draw? Let's actually, let's double check on this one. But I do believe it was a no contest. Yeah, no contest there. Fought Kyle Dawkins on the Contender Series. Lost the decision. He's a guy that can go long. He's a guy that can be competitive striking. Crutchmer, big athleticism advantage. Wrestling advantage too. I like the way he'll throw overhands and then chain his wrestling in with it. I'm on the Crutchmer side with a fair amount of confidence here. I like him to get the win. Let's check them out on the scales. There is Michael Lombardo. He looks lean and in shape. I didn't really think there'd be much concern with either of these guys on the scales. And right there's Crutchmer. He's coming in very good shape too. I think he's a physically stronger guy. I think he's going to have the better takedowns. He is giving up a bit of height and reach. Let's note that. But Lombardo isn't a fantastic kickboxer where I'm super worried about power as Crutchmer's entering the range. I think Crutchmer gets us to the floor, does his thing on the ground, and gets the win. As far as the odds, though, looking at this matchup, Crutchmer is a minus 250 favorite. Lombardo plus 230 dog. I like the Crutchmer side to win, and I do like him to win via decision. Let's check out what the props are looking like here. Win Crutchmer decision is plus 115. Definitely not like my favorite bet. It's still a Bellator prelim fight, even if it's not the early prelims. But I do think Crutchmer does beat Michael Lombardo by a decision here. Let's get to our next bout. Gaston Bolaños versus Daniel Scary Carey, the rematch between these two. Big upset. Carey was able to choke him out, and Bolaños at the time when they fought previously was coming up as like a real legit prospect. Since then, he did drop another fight, split decision against Solo Hatley. Daniel Scary Carey is pretty dangerous with his kickboxing on the feet. That's originally his base. He got into mixed martial arts a bit later at 25. As far as the pick, I'm going to jump out right away and tell you I am picking Gaston Bolaños to get the win this time. I think he's going to write that wrong off. Even when you look at that first fight, he seemed to be a lot better than Scary Carey on the feet. He got caught up in that guillotine. It was an unfortunate position. It was a great move by Carey to get him inside when they're in the clinch and shoot for it. Bolaños wasn't too sweaty either, wasn't able to fight out of it. And end of that matchup. Rematch here. Carey also taking it on short notice. I think that's a mistake. I think Bolaños is going to come in looking for a vengeance in this one because, he's looking for revenge and was originally supposed to be fighting another guy. He knows Carey's coming in later. Still fight at 145 pounds. I like the side of Gaston Bolaños for the W. I think he's going to look pretty dangerous with his kickboxing. I think he's going to let his hands fly well. He's pretty slick as far as his stand-up game overall. Like, at times, he just shows a lot of confidence. He exudes a lot of it with his striking, and you can tell there's a quality game there. The record's 5-3. It's not great. Carey's on this side 7-5. Isn't really that great either. But I really think that Bolaños writes this wrong and gets the win. I'm going knockout. I am going to pick the second round. Now, as far as the weigh-ins, we'll see how they look. Or do they not have them on the weigh-ins here? We might not have an image for them here. Let's see if we can find Scary Carey, man. Let's see. If we don't find them, it is what it is. Daniel Carey. There he is. There's Daniel Carey. Daniel Scary Carey. Let's get Bolaños under him. And there is Gaston Bolaños. Both guys look in very good shape. I'm not concerned about the scales too much, and I got to respect Carey for coming in looking pretty damn lean and ready to go, even taking this fight on short notice. But Bolaños for the W. As far as the line, it is wide. Bolaños minus 300. Daniel Carey plus 285. I like Bolaños at that minus 300 tag, but I don't really love the bet. I just like him to win this fight. I think it's inside of the distance. Let's see what they have here for inside distance. Bolaños about plus 105, plus 100. I'll see if we have any extra props here. Nope, we do not. Not even for best fight odds. There's limited props with these Bellator prelims a lot of the times. But Bolaños for the W. I think he beats Daniel Carey and rights that wrong, winning the rematch. Next bout of the night. Dovletsan Yagshimuradov takes on Rafael Carvalho. Carvalho was originally released from Bellator, I believe, and then they decide to bring him back on short notice to take Dovletsan on. Dovletsan needs this win bad. I'm picking Dovletsan to get the W. Even though Dovletsan isn't a fantastic wrestler, I think he definitely has a better offensive wrestling game than Rafael Carvalho. And I think Carvalho is going to be in trouble against the cage. I think we'll see trips from Dovletsan. I see him getting top position. If he gets caught up in a kickboxing match with Rafael Carvalho, there is a chance Carvalho could outstrike him, win that bout on a close decision. We've seen Carvalho etch out wins. He's got a very dangerous body kick. But I'll be honest, at this point, he's not prime Carvalho. At one point, Rafael Carvalho was the middleweight champion in Bellator, and he had a pretty decent run. Lyoto Machida fight, he lost a split decision. Like, even some of his defeats aren't too bad. Last one, Lorenz Larkin split decision. That was at 85. Larkin's normally fighting at 170. Dovletsan Yagshimuradov for the W. I do expect decision. I think it's going to be a lot of work in the clinch. He does have a decent striking game. He's pretty quick, good overhands. He's a pretty stocky guy at 205. He stands only 5'11". Carvalho a lot taller at 6'3". But I do think that Dovletsan's wrestling can lead the way, and when he gets on top, his grappling will do good work. Control. How does he get it done? I'm thinking submission. I'm thinking third or second round submission for Dovletsan Yagshimuradov. Let's find our guy, Dovletsan Yagshimuradov. Here is Dovletsan, looking lean, ready. He looks in great shape here. Looks pretty lean, actually. Carvalho looking a little pudgy around the midsection. I think Carvalho's getting submitted, guys. I think Carvalho's losing this bout. I think that Dovletsan's going to be too much for him. He's going to get it done. He's going to beat him with the grappling. I think he might even touch him up a little on the feet. Carvalho from range is always risky, but Dovletsan for the win. I'm going submission as far as the line on this one. The fight is actually not super wide. Minus 167 for Dovletsan, plus 155 Carvalho. I mean, minus 167, minus 170, especially as bad as Carvalho looked on the scales. I think that might be a little bit of a steal here. Let's see if they have some extra props down on this side. I hate that we can't get all the props, but we'll look at what we do have. Dovletsan Yagshimuradov to win inside of the distance, plus 275. I do think he wins inside of the distance too, though. I think he finds that neck, especially of a short notice Carvalho. Dovletsan for the W, beating the former middleweight champ Rafael Carvalho in this light heavyweight matchup. Our next one is our featured prelim of the night. It's Tyrell Fortune and Rakim Cleveland. It is an interesting and weird heavyweight fight. It's not one that I love, especially betting side of it. It's hideous. I'm going to jump out and tell you the lines immediately because they're extremely wide in the favor of Fortune. Minus 1,000 best value. You can find Rakim at plus 839 best value, but I mean, even wider. Minus 1,400 for Fortune at Bet Online. It's a wide line, and Rakim Cleveland is a dangerous guy on the feet. Now, I'm still going to be picking Tyrell Fortune because of the wrestling. I see him getting Rakim Cleveland to the ground, but if he gets overzealous wanting to strike, sometimes Tyrell Fortune really presses forward, and I could see him getting caught. Has been knocked out before, lost to Tim Johnson by KO, and then you look at the recent loss, ended up getting taken down and controlled a bit by Linton Vassell, though he finished strong. I think that Tyrell Fortune is ready for the 3 rounds with Rakim Cleveland. I'm not super impressed with Tyrell's ground and pound as of yet, but he still has good offensive wrestling and control. His stand-up game's improving. I think he's going to mix in takedowns, which is going to limit the striking of Rakim Cleveland. Give me Tyrell Fortune for the win, and I am going to go by a decision. Let's check them out on the scales. There is Rakim Cleveland, and then there is Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell Fortune got a funny look on his face there. I gotta say, I think the wrestling is the biggest difference maker. But if Tyrell gets a little crazy and just wants to strike, he gets too comfortable, Rakim Cleveland wings some hooks, and he definitely hits hard. He's a guy with a pretty decent kickboxing. I mean, look how many fights he has. Over 35, what is this, his 36th pro bout? 37th pro bout? He's got a lot of cage experience, and Fortune is now getting a lot of cage time. He's an improved guy. I expect him to win. I'm going to go decision for Tyrell Fortune. Don't really love the betting side of it. Don't love the dog attack on Rakim Cleveland either. Give me Tyrell Fortune for the win, and I will pick him on that decision. Let's jump towards the main card. First fight on the main card is Tim Johnson versus Linton Vassell. If you guys have not yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Tim Johnson is a problem in this matchup. I'm picking the Tim Johnson side, and I know people are going to say he looked terrible against Fedor. He got knocked out in the first minute and a half. Yeah, he did. Linton Vassell definitely doesn't have the power of Fedor. He's not as precise as Fedor, and the name is not Fedor. And you know what? Tim Johnson, unfortunately, a couple of times, as durable as he's known to be, gets caught by shots and put out. Vassell is not a huge finisher with his hands to me. I mean, yeah, he's gotten finishes. I guess I can't say he's not a huge finisher. You look, he's got the finish of Honey Marks, finish of Karatanov. But it's an older Karatanov. Yeah, it's still a good win. Don't get me wrong. You look at the recent win, it was against Tyrell Fortune. The Honey Marks win, I don't think counts for much at this point because I think his career is pretty much done. I think Tim Johnson is overall just a tricky matchup. He has okay stand-up, fights out of the southpaw stance, decent boxing, like almost wrestling style boxing. He likes to throw the hooks and come close that distance, plodding style striker. Linton Vassell, a little more of a dynamic kickboxer, longer guy, 4-inch reach advantage, only 1-inch advantage of the height. Tim Johnson is definitely the bigger and physically stronger of the two. Vassell showed some decent wrestling in recent bouts, and especially when you look at the fight against Tyrell Fortune, who's known as a very good wrestler. He was able to land takedowns in that fight, and it's impressive to see his MMA wrestling. Tim Johnson, I don't really see Vassell having a lot of success taking him down. I see Tim Johnson kind of wearing against Vassell against the cage a bit. I think Vassell definitely has a chance from range. Could he hurt Tim Johnson? Definitely. The likelihood of it, I think, is kind of low. I got to go Tim Johnson as an underdog. I like the plus money, and I like him to win a decision here. I'm kind of thinking split decision. I feel like we're in for a pretty close bout. And even though Tim Johnson doesn't have this menacing physical appearance, he's a guy that can go 5 rounds. He went 5 rounds fighting for the belt, the interim title, technically speaking, against Valentin Moldavsky. Then he ran into Fedor, and Fedor had the moment of a lifetime and slept him. I think Tim Johnson gets a W over Linton Vassell here, though. And as far as the scales go, we'll pull them up. There is Tim Johnson with that signature look, that hairy look. And then you got Vassell, who looks in very good shape. A little bit thicker than normal, too. Vassell's a big dude at this point. 6'4", mostly muscle mass. But Tim Johnson's a strong, grindy wrestler, plotting style guy. I don't think he's an easy guy to knock out. I know he's been knocked out 3 times in Bellator, but you look through his UFC run, he was a hard guy to put away, and I think that Tim Johnson's going to have success here against Linton Vassell, beating him by a decision. As far as the line, it's actually pretty good. It's plus 123 for Tim Johnson, Linton Vassell minus 135. I like Tim Johnson as an underdog for the W. As far as props, let's check them out. Over 1.5 minus 160 isn't horrible. Let's see, Johnson wins via decision. But like if Johnson kept pressing, I wouldn't be shocked if he TKOs Vassell in the third either, though. I will say that because Vassell looked tired in his last fight against Fortune. Plus 400, Johnson wins the decision. Over 1.5 minus 160. I like the Tim Johnson straight money line dog attack the most. Tim Johnson for the W, win by decision over Linton Vassell to start off this main card. Next fight of the night. Oh my goodness, it's a great one. Aaron Pico versus Adli Edwards. Listen, guys, I deep dove on Adli Edwards to find more about this guy. What I did find was quite interesting. This guy's been fighting for a very long time, made his amateur debut in 2012, so he's been fighting a decade now. He is 32 years of age, so definitely not young at this point, but still young in his career, only 9-1. Talked about in one of his interviews, difficulty finding fights. What I like about this guy, all-American wrestling background, and you don't hear much about it. He's been training jiu-jitsu, I believe, since he was 15 years old. At this point, I know I saw a picture from 2018 that he was a purple belt. At this point, I'd assume at the very least he's got a brown belt of jiu-jitsu. But realistically speaking, on the ground, he's going to be tricky to deal with because of just that wrestling base alone and having a long time practice of jiu-jitsu. He's a long guy at 5'11". Aaron Pico is a special prospect, and I'm not saying he isn't. And I am telling you guys, Aaron Pico has a pretty good shot of winning this fight. But Adli Edwards is going to surprise a lot of people, and I think he's going the full distance. This is some Rocky shit. I think he's going all 3 rounds. He's going to go the distance with Aaron Pico here, which is going to surprise a lot of people. Other things that I like about Edwards is he's a pretty rangy kickboxer. And then his record as an amateur and pro combined 17-2, was 8-1 as an amateur. So, I mean, the guy has done really well, just hasn't gotten the big fights. His past 2 have been against guys with good records. You can quickly look at them here. Josh Harvey, 8-1-1, won that fight by first round submission just 5 days ago. I know he's taking the fight on super short notice. Lance Lawrence, it was a year ago. He won that fight by a unanimous decision. Very short notice, but he said something too that he likes to stay around weight, so 150 shouldn't be too much of an issue for him. He already did come in on weight. I don't think the weight cut had a serious effect on him. We'll pull them up on the scales, and you're going to see he looked pretty filled out. I mean, he looked better than Aaron Pico did on the scales. Aaron Pico looked a little rougher in the face. Pico's a guy that even though he's young, he's taken a lot of damage. He has been knocked out twice, finished by submission once in his pro debut. Edwards was only stopped as an amateur. As a pro, he's got a loss. It was a split decision. He's a durable guy. He's a longtime martial arts practitioner, but he's a guy that's been looking for his shot forever, and now he gets it. And it's interesting that he just did that interview a few days ago, then gets the call to fight at Bellator. Short notice bout. I respect the hell out of him for taking this fight, and this is a serious opportunity. And I do think that Adli Edwards is a live underdog more than people are expecting, but I'm still going to be picking Aaron Pico to win a decision, but I really like this guy Edwards, man. He followed me back on Instagram, so shout out to Adli Edwards, man. I'm a supporter of him. I bet him to win this fight. I got to throw down at a huge underdog. It's a dog or pass fight. You have to attack the dog if you're on the betting side, especially a guy that might have a shot. But what I love more than the money line odds, which are crazy, minus 1,000 Pico, plus 867 for Edwards, look at the over 1.5. Plus 140, over 1.5. I think that is a misread of the lines. I don't expect Pico to just easily beat this kid up. I think that Edwards is there for the distance. I'm expecting he goes all 3. Fight goes distance would be plus 300, but I definitely think he can at least make it to a round and a half. I don't see the kid getting stopped early. I think he's going to last. People compare him to almost like Tony Ferguson-esque. That's the comparison we're kind of getting, and you guys will get the vibe. If you haven't seen him and there's not a ton on him, you're going to get a good feel for him, and he's a guy with a lot of potential for sure, and I'm excited to find it out. Aaron Pico is a contender at this point though, so he's getting thrown to the lions essentially to make his debut in Bellator, fighting Aaron Pico, who's their groomed talent. I mean, the guy's got excellent wrestling, incredible hands, super quick. He feints shots at this point pretty well and actually like mixes it up. Before, he just try to come at you with craziness and he'd end up getting caught, getting into brawls. He fights a lot more patient and intelligent now, and his body shots are devastating. Edwards needs to be prepared for hell. I think this guy's going to surprise with his durability. I'm going Aaron Pico, win by a decision, and I guess I got to bring up that Pico decision line because it's going to be wide. Pico to win by decision, which is, not expected, plus 355. Curious, though, looking at Edwards, if he were to get the decision, plus 1,300. Edwards wins by sub, plus 2,200. It's going to be hard to beat Aaron Pico at this point, but I think Edwards, at the very least, makes a name for himself here, puts up a good, hard-fought performance and makes it a fight, and I think he gets himself another fight in Bellator, securing his career as a fighter, and I think he could have some success. We're going to find out on fight night. I'm going Adli Edwards. As far as the betting side, dog or pass, I will say there's like a 65% more so range that I think Pico probably is going to win this bout, and I'm thinking win unanimous decision over Adli Edwards. Great featured bout. And let's jump to the co-main event. Title is on the line between Vadim Nemkov and Corey Anderson. This is also the tournament championship. I love this fight. Guys. I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I like Corey's value as a dog, but when I really sit on this fight and the more I've dove really at it, Vadim Nemkov is a problem with his punching power, but not even the power of it. It's punching precision, rather. He has a sniper jab. Corey Anderson is a guy that has in the past struggled a bit with clean shots landing. You don't need to catch Corey Anderson with a crazy knockout blow to put him down. Even the Jan Blachowicz fight, it wasn't like the craziest strike of all time, but he got caught clean. He didn't see it coming. He went out. Vadim Nemkov is a guy that can definitely counter you and do that. Corey Anderson has good offensive striking, quickly ran through Ryan Bader in the last one. Granted, Bader, then moved up a weight class and looked fantastic. I don't know. The weight cut was maybe taking a lot out of him. Either way, Corey looked fantastic. He beat Dovletz on Yagshimuradov. But Vadim Nemkov, I think, is a different beast, man. The takedown defense is going to be there. I sit on this fight and think it's an extremely tricky one, but it's hard for me to go against Vadim. I think Vadim is going to get the finish. I'm thinking third round knockout. I believe he's going to beat Corey Anderson. I don't hate a Corey Anderson underdog bet at all. I don't hate it at all. I think it's actually a pretty great bet. There's Corey Anderson looking good and ready to go. There's Vadim Nemkov, looks in great shape as well. Corey, I think, could have success early. I think he's definitely going to look to wrestle. He might land a couple takedowns. I think Nemkov will be up. I think Nemkov will be in his face, and I think Nemkov will find the sweet spot. For me, I think Corey Anderson needs to be not perfect, but near perfect for 5. Nemkov could have a little mistakes, couple of moments. What the hell is this? That was some live action upset. That threw me for a loop. Vadim Nemkov is a problem, and he's going to win here. I'm picking him to beat Corey Anderson. As far as the lines go, Vadim Nemkov is a -147, -156 at BetOnline. Corey Anderson +140 underdog. I like the Vadim Nemkov side as the favorite here. Let's see what we got that I like here. I think that Nemkov by KO +145, not terrible. Anderson, if you're playing him as a dog, I don't hate that. I don't hate you guys on his side. Do we go under 4.5, -160? And I think it's going to be, though, Nemkov by knockout +145. I think it'd be hard to finish Anderson by a sub. I think he catches him on that chin and puts him out. Because I'm telling you, Corey needs to be near perfect for 5. Nemkov can have a couple mistakes, and I still think he could counter Corey and win the bout. Nemkov and also the tournament champion, and maybe, arguably, top light heavyweight on the planet. Vadim Nemkov for the W. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash the hell out of that like button. It is AJ McKee versus Patricio Pitbull 2. The rematch. The first fight, McKee blitzed him. Didn't even blitz him. He destroyed him. He used great feints, and he set up a high kick that dropped Patricio. He then landed a great combination of strikes against the cage. The uppercut was right on the money. Dropped Patricio down. McKee kind of celebrates for a second. Patricio gets back up. McKee locks up the guillotine. Against the cage, Patricio is unconscious. And that's the fight. AJ McKee is an incredible talent. And honestly, when you watch him fight, you know he's special. I'm picking him to win again. Patricio Pitbull is this is a bad stylistic matchup for Patricio Pitbull. Patricio already, I mean, I don't want to say he's past his prime, but I do believe he's had a lot of wars. Maybe his best days are behind him. But AJ McKee, I think always, no matter when in Patricio Pitbull's career, is going to be a bad matchup for him. He's a longer guy who's extremely quick. He's got good submissions, good wrestling defense. He's a well-rounded martial artist, and he's a guy that's like a new breed. AJ McKee's a problem. I'm thinking he beats Pitbull again. I do think Pitbull does a little bit better this time. I mean, Pitbull with the signature Muay Thai, I think he could land some low kicks. He's going to have a hard time getting his hands going and getting inside the range of AJ McKee, who's a long southpaw too, a guy that definitely has a wide stance and not wrestling problems like Patricio Pitbull. I really can't see succeeding on shots. If he does shoot on AJ McKee, I could see AJ McKee locking up another guillotine on him. I'm thinking we're going to see McKee win by submission again. I think it's a little bit later. I think it's a second round. I definitely think knockout's possible. I think AJ McKee is an extremely confident pick, guys. He's going to beat Patricio for a second time and still be the featherweight champion of Bellator. And he's -300 as the favorite. I guess we got to pull up the scales real quick first, though. Patricio looks good and ready to rock. That's normal Patricio. There's AJ McKee looking pretty shredded out and ready to go. I think Ann's still a champ. -300, I don't think is terrible value for McKee. I think he deserves that tag. He's going to beat Patricio badly again. +270 for Patricio Pitbull. I think we go under 2.5, -155. McKee wins by KO, +195. McKee by sub, +200. I think it's either of those methods. McKee by inside of the distance, -150. They got it covered there. I like McKee as a parlay piece a ton. I think he's going to win. Could pull off the sub at +200. I definitely think he could get the knockout too, especially look at that first fight. I mean, his feints are incredible. He's so much longer than Patricio. Southpaw versus orthodox. The high kicks are going to be a problem. Even in this fight, I know Patricio's going to be trying to block him, but I still think there's a chance AJ McKee could land another one. This is a really just bad stylistic matchup for Patricio. McKee is a long featherweight super athletic, and just special talent that works his ass off and has made it to the top. AJ McKee, I like him as the parlay piece, minus 300. I think he's a great play if you're parlaying him up. I got him on this week's Best MMA Bets, like parlay of the week if you're looking to mix match UFC and Bellator. Overall, it's a pretty damn good Bellator card. Now, the early prelims are not really something I want to talk about with Bellator. I've said it before. If you haven't heard, it's just I don't like talking about guys 0-0, 1-3, whatever. Like, I don't like talking about guys that don't have a ton of experience. But looking at it, there is fights that have some interest to me. I'm excited to see Edwin De Los Santos. Excited to hear if Alan Gracie can maybe catch a W. He's 0-3 now, and he's fighting a 2-0 guy, Tyson Miller. I don't believe he does. And then Bobby Cerrone III, Bellator potential prospect. We'll see what he brings in his second pro bout. The early prelims, though, no betting action for me. I don't think any of you guys should really be betting on those Bellator early prelims, but do as you wish. Let's talk parlays now. Pure Bellator parlay. I like AJ McKee here. If I want to go and add somebody else in, I do think Dovletsan's a great addition for plus 110. McKee, Dovletsan, Yagshimuradov. If you want to get confident, you can throw in Timothy Johnson, plus 360 if you want to add an underdog. If you think also Vadim Nemkov is going to win, plus 670, this 4-fighter parlay. I mean, I think it's going to happen, but there's definitely possibility that, somebody could always drop the ball. It's the fight game. Kyle Crutchmer, plus 966 if we want to go bananas with it. Don't want to add in Aaron Pico here, but if you get the opportunity to add anything in, over 1.5, I think it's going over 1.5. Plus 2,400 Hail Mary parlay. Obviously, 2-fighter parlays are better. 3-fighter parlays are better. I think the big three, McKee, Dovletsan, Yagshimuradov. Then if you want an underdog, throwing somebody in there like Timothy Johnson. I don't hate the idea of if you want to go with just like the real confident favorites, like you go with Nemkov, McKee, and Dovletsan, Yagshimuradov. That's plus 250. That's still fantastic value. But adding in that dog in is going to give you a nice little boost. Gaston Bolaños, personally, in the Daniel Carey fight, I will say stay off. On the off chance, I mean, still neither guy is like really turned, the corner into like top level, but they're decent pros. Love this 3-fighter play. Love the one with the dog, Timothy Johnson in it, and obviously that plus 2,000 one if you want to get crazy, adding in Pico, Edwards over 1.5. I think this is a decent card to play a couple of bets on, but it's definitely something to enjoy. I will be live for it, so if you guys are interested in that fight companion, make sure you tune into the channel. You're going to see a shoey on the live stream if we hit, I'll say 120 likes. That's kind of like the magic number. 120 likes, and you'll get a shoey from me. Much love, my people. I hope you enjoyed this Bellator weigh-in recap show. Smash the likes if you haven't. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.